Part A of the pre-trip inspection. I will check under the truck. I will check that there are no leaks or fluid puddles of any kind. No low-hanging lines, wires, or hoses. I will check truck sitting level that is not leaning to the left or to the right, indicating low air pressure or a suspension problem. I will check clearance lights, that they're properly mounted and secure, not cracked, broken, or missing, amber in color, and working properly. I will check lens covers. They are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, broken, or missing. They're not foggy, but clear or white in color. I will check high and low beams. They are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, broken, or missing. They are clear or white in color, and they work properly. I will check turn signals, four-way hazards, and marker lights. They are properly mounted and secure, not cracked, broken, or missing. They are amber in color, and they work properly. I am finished inspecting the front, and I will move to the passenger side engine compartment. As a general overview, I will check lines, wires, and hoses, that they're properly mounted and secure. There are no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. They're not torn or frayed, and there are no audible or visible leaks. I will check the coolant reservoir, that it's properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked or broken. There are no leaks, and the fluid is at operational levels. The cap is on tightly. Its lines and wires are properly mounted and secure. There are no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, no tearing or fraying, and there are no leaks. I will move to the driver's side of the engine compartment. As a general overview, I will check lines, wires, and hoses, that they're properly mounted and secured. There are no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, no tearing or fraying, and there are no audible or visible leaks. I will check the alternator, that it's properly mounted and secure. There are no loose or missing bolts. I will check the alternator wires. They're properly mounted and secure, not chafed, rubbing, or exposed. The alternator is belt driven. The belt is properly mounted and secured. It's not torn or frayed, and when pressed in the middle, there is no more than 3/4 inches of play. I will check the water pump, that it's properly mounted and secure. There are no loose or missing bolts, and it's not leaking. The lines and hoses are properly mounted and secure. There are no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and they're not leaking. The water pump is belt driven. I will check the power steering pump, that it's properly mounted and secure. There are no loose or missing bolts. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not leaking. It is gear driven. The lines and hoses are properly mounted and secure. No abrasions, bulges, or cuts, not leaking. I will check the air compressor. It's properly mounted and secure. No loose or missing bolts. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not leaking. It's also gear driven. The lines and hoses are properly mounted and secure. No abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and they're not leaking. I will check the engine oil fill cap, that it's properly mounted and secured and not leaking. I will check the engine oil dipstick, that the engine oil is within proper operating levels. I will do this by pulling it out, wiping it off, putting it back in, and pulling it out again, making sure that the fluids are between add and full. Then I will make sure that the dipstick is properly mounted and secure. I will check the power steering reservoir, that it's properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked or broken. There are no leaks, and the fluids are at proper operating levels. The cap is on tightly. I will check power steering hoses, that they're properly mounted and secure. There are no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. They're not chafed or rubbing, and there's no leaking. I will check the frame. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, and there are no illegal welds. I will check the front and rear spring hangers. They're properly mounted and secured to the frame and not cracked or broken. I will check the leaf springs, that they're properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken, not shifted or misaligned, and there are no illegal welds. I will check the U-bolts. They're properly mounted and secured to the axle, no missing nuts, and they're not cracked or broken. I will check the shock absorber. It is properly mounted and secure on the top and the bottom. Bushings are intact. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, and there is no leaking. I will check the steering rod, that it's properly mounted and secured to the gearbox. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, and there are no more than 10 degrees of play. I will check the U-joint, that it's not loose or worn. There are no missing nuts or bolts, and it's properly greased. I will check the gearbox that it's properly mounted and secured to the frame. It's not cracked or broken, there are no missing nuts or bolts, and it's not leaking. I will check the pitman arm, drag link, upper tie rod end, and lower tie rod, that it's properly mounted and secure with castle nuts and cotter pins. It's properly greased, it's not cracked or broken. I will check the brake air lines, properly mounted and secured to the brake chamber. There are no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, not chafed or rubbing, and it's not leaking. I will check the brake chamber, that it's properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked or broken. The C-clamp is in place, and it's not leaking. I will check that the slack adjuster is properly mounted and secured to the push rod. Neither are cracked or broken. With the engine off and brakes released, the slack adjuster should not travel more than 1 inch when pulled by hand. If it does, it needs to be serviced before the next trip. I will check the brake linings and shoes, that they're properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken. There are no missing pieces, and the lining is not worn to less than 1/4 inch thickness. I will check the brake drum, that it's properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked or broken, and it's free of oil, grease, and debris. I will check the inner and outer tire rims, that they're properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken, and there are no illegal welds. I will check the inner and outer tire walls, that there are no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and they're properly beaded to the tire rims. I will check the tire face, that it's evenly worn with no damage and has a minimum tread depth of 4/32. I will check tire inflation with a gauge. The air pressure should be no less than 100 psi. I will check the valve stem, that it's properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not leaking, and the cap is in place. I will check the lug nuts, that they're properly mounted and secure, and none are missing. I will check for rust, shiny metal, and spidering, indicating looseness or over-tightening. I will check the axle hub seal, that it's properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken, no leaking. I will check the oil levels through the sight glass, and if necessary, I'll remove the cap and refill. I have completed the A portion of my pre-trip inspection.